Hello, my name is Jasmine Kees, and you are tuned into Reuters Events Women in Marketing series, where every other Tuesday I sit down with some of the most inspirational and driven leaders across the globe. Today, I am joined by a good friend of Reuters Events and honestly a personal inspiration to me. Maital Rasmussen was previously the head of marketing DIS for Roche, and before that held VP level roles at JP Morgan and Oracle, but has now taken the leap into the C-suite at a promising bioscience startup called Octave. Not only is she managing sales and marketing there, she's also stepped, jumped, leaped, and perhaps broken through another layer of the glass ceiling as a board level director at Pluristem Therapeutics, another biotech company revolutionizing our healthcare. Maital, how are you today?
Hi, good day. Hi, Jasmine. Thank you for having me here.
It is great to have you. Now, we've only got 20 minutes, so let's dive right into the growth mindset that you attribute your success to. This two-dimensional growth mindset that pushes you out of your comfort zone and always seems to send you flying towards your goals. So can you break down this personal and professional development framework for us?
Sure. When you start your career as a young woman, it's never linear. It's never exactly what you think you're gonna do, at the next step. But there are a couple of things that actually I employed throughout my whole career life and personal life. So I always think about what is my professional development in a growth mindset. What do I need to learn into get myself to the next level and getting better. And the second one is really on the personal growth. So and some, I guess, personality trait, here we're women in marketing, but it's not necessarily only for women. I think it's very much, for everybody, for men, for any gender, any person, and any definition. So on the professional growth, it's really the people. I'm a people person. I love people. I care about people. They care about me. And you develop relationship, and not just relationship, but you develop a network. And the professional network, it's what gets you around in your career. And that's how you learn too from other people. The second thing, what do you do with this network? What do you do with people? You connect. They connect you and you connect them, and you help them by connecting them. So I think one of the things is that I'm a connector. So when I see two things, I cross-pollinate, I make the connection, people to companies, people to people, etc. And it's helping, and it does good, not only for me, but definitely for them. And sometimes you just want to give. So this is part of what moving around.
And I definitely get that from you, Maital, just from our connection and with Reuters Events. You've given so much advice and insight to not only to our audiences, but to me personally. And I definitely agree with everything that you're saying. I can tell you're really passionate about people.
Yes, absolutely. People is everything at the end of the day. It's your relationship. Another thing, it's like you create support system. You choose your mentors. I have a mentor for this topic or that topic. This is like really very important. On the personal growth, which it goes hand by hand, because if you just develop your professional, then you need to develop yourself as a person and also as a leader. So I have a coach, and that very much helps me. And I find that family and friends, sometimes a walk with a friend and a conversation actually helps you at work. So it helps your personal growth on multiple levels, and it converges. At the end of the day, it converge. So it is people on the professional and also on the personal. But the traits, there's like certain themes also that goes there. It's really a tenacity that you want to see yourself develop, and you push for it. You push for it, and you need to think of yourself as a life learner. It's not like I land a job and I'm learning what there is there and I'm feeling great and I'm sitting on it. No, there's always an opportunity to learn, and you need to love it. I love learning.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about setting goals and kind of constantly moving forward. And I guess those that professional and personal, those are the pillars that kind of that drive you there. But how do you go about setting goals for your personal and professional development? I mean, how did you start off in your career? Maybe you can give us a bit of an example or an insight into, you know, how your career journey went.
You know, it's really, it's really interesting. It is a muscle, yeah. And I'll talk about resilience in a second. But my journey was not linear. My career was not linear. I actually started my career in Israel. I'm Israeli originally, and then I moved to New York City. And when I moved to New York City, I thought, oh, New York is waiting for me, and I can get a job in marketing, because I already was in marketing and studied psychology and behavioral sciences and no, and New York City was not waiting for me. So I needed to.
New York said no.
New York said no, but it said yes to another thing. I think I shared that with you, that I started actually my first job actually in New York was as an application engineer. I was not an engineer, and I knew how to code, but I went for the job. You know, they needed an engineer, and I said, I know how to code. And they asked me, can you study? And I said, of course, and just do it. So at the beginning, I was telling everybody, if the people ask you, what do you do? And you said, I'm an application engineer, but I'm not an engineer. So it's very funny, because 20 years after, everything I learned there is serving me today, data and technology and all that, and the digital transformation that I'm going through industry. But anyway, that's how it started. And then then the opportunity presented itself to be in marketing, to be in, I was VP marketing at JP Morgan. And this is like a story that I like to tell women, because it's, sometimes I forget, and I need to remind myself. So when the startup that I was an application engineer was folding, I went for a job interview at JP Morgan, and it was my second interview, because my first interview, they told me, don't call us, we'll call you, but we'll put your resume into HR. And suddenly they called me, and they called me 2 weeks before my due date of my first child. And I was thinking, wow, I'm 9 months pregnant. Should I go to the interview? I don't even have clothes. So I did. I did go to the interview, and I came very big. And it's important to know, 2 weeks before my due date, and I had 6 interviews until my due date, and I did get the job. I suddenly was the VP of marketing, but they didn't take me because my knowledge in finance. They took me because of my attitude. And it's really important to know, we as women looking, we're thinking, oh, I'm going to have a child and all that. So don't let it stop you. You can manage it. I mean, it's hard, but you can manage it. And that's why I'm saying my career was not linear. By the way, I started when my daughter was 4.5 months, not right away. So I think women need to know this story, and you need good people around you, good managers to actually contain this and allow this to happen. So you learn how to grow through the jobs, but you need to take risks. You need to have courage. I did not know what it means to be a VP of global marketing at JP Morgan when I got in, and I learned. So the growth mindset, you can learn, you can be okay in the job. And that's what's important. And you need to be resilient, because resilience is important.
Absolutely. And you know, like you said, life is not linear. So whether you have this personal and professional development and growth framework down to a T or not, you'll always have to hit a few curveballs. So sometimes, you know, what you thought was exactly where you needed to be turns out to be the complete opposite or an absolute mess. So we need to find these mechanisms for managing this. And that is resilience. So yeah, can you tell us about, you know, obviously that situation in particular, you had to be resilient and it, you know, wasn't exactly what you expected. So is there any other situations where you've had to really, yeah, have a lot of resilience?
Always, in every job, between jobs, you need to develop this muscle. So resilience is a muscle. It's not, you know, I don't know if you're born with it, but you really need, if you think where your future self you want to be, you know, where you see yourself, then you have the resilience to move on. And the fallback, sometimes, you know, through life, you know, you have fallbacks, personal life, professional life, at the job, you know, and you need to find this place of hope and look at it as an opportunity of growth. It's not easy, but I think it's an interesting thing to think about yourself and how you develop this muscle. And I, you know, throughout life, I realized that, you know, what Machiavelli and Churchill said, never waste a good crisis. I live by it. I live by it. I always think, oh my God, I just got a knockout. How can I look at it a different way? And how do I make it look like this happened for me, not to me? So sometimes, even as one of my girlfriends said, sometimes even a kick in the butt is a step forward. So you need to, if you think about it this way, you're like shocked, but then you get up and you continue because you have goals. You need to put these goals ahead of you always. It gives you hope. It gives you optimism, and it helps you to bounce back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we are like right now in the middle of a pretty huge global crisis, I'd say. So now is a really good time to be talking about that resilience and managing through crisis. You are only like literally, has it been your first day at Octave yet?
I started last week.
You started last week. So Maital is brand new to the role at Octave. You know, how did you manage that through? I mean, it's a very tricky time to be changing roles, you know, moving on to a board of directors and into the C-suite all at once. Maital, you have had a very big few months. How did you manage that throughout this period?
Yeah, it's what can I say? You know, the crisis brought an opportunity because there's a lot of activities and there's a lot of positions right now in the market. The digital transformation, I mean, I'm in digital health and Octave is in digital health. And Plurstem, where I'm sitting on the board, is therapeutics. You know, they building placental therapeutics from you know, to give patients, but also for COVID. So that's an opportunity for them. And Octave is a digital health platform now. You know, we all patients, we all know now what COVID did for healthcare. You know, all the digital health is booming. So there's a lot of opportunities right now, and COVID accelerated it in a way. So it's weird to start a job in the pandemic. I have to say, it's all through Zoom, and I haven't met people face to face yet. I probably will soon, but you gotta get up in the morning and think, you know, what can I make out of it? You know, some people like the creative people, you know, create and create and create, but this is the creation, this is the creative thing. And about managing your career, you get up in the morning and you say, I have to make it as an opportunity for myself. And if you in this mindset, it will happen. You know, I spend a lot of time, you know, thinking about that and thinking, how am I gonna make a difference in the world? What is how going to make impact in the world, you know? And this is my passion. So you need to find the passion even through the pandemic. I go for walks, I think, hikes.
Yeah. And I mean, we were just talking about, running and yoga and mindfulness just before we went live here, because life is about mindset. That's very very extravagant, but it really is. It's about, focusing on your goals, finding what you want to move forward to, and then setting in place the steps that will take you there. And I'm sure that you share that with your team as well, and your mentors. You are quite, like you said, you're a people-driven person, but you really are. And not only are you, using your network to move into positions like Octave, into the C-suite and the board of directors at Pluristem, but you're helping others get there too.
Absolutely. We're not alone. Nobody works alone. It's a big collaborative effort. And when you give, you also get, and when you get, you also give. It's the circle of life, really, the way I look at it. I'm a mentor as well. I have mentees. I help people. People help me. And you're never alone. You have the team. You need to listen to your team members. You need to actively listen. You need to help them. I mean, through the crisis, through COVID crisis, if you're not listening to your team, you're going to lose them, because whatever you built before working in Zoom, the cultural thing and the values you created in your team have to, you need to maintain it, and you need to be more open and have more capacity to contain different things. But in order to do that, and that's I think the people, soft skill people, but also something you're learning through your career. But that's the thing, I think we're talking about it. How do you do that, really? So I look at life like as if you in the airplane, right? And if something happens, you need to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you help your kids, right? So I take care of myself. And by doing that, I have way more capacity to handle and carry on, different situations and people's wellness as well, not only mine. But if I don't take care of myself, then I can't do that. So it's really important, self-care, and that's the growth mindset as well. Doing the yoga, meditate, go for the hike in the mountains if you can, and all that.
Absolutely. I mean, we try to break up work and life. We're always trying to, find this balance, but it is that your personal development will impact your professional, and your professional, of course, will impact your personal.
Yeah. Balance. I don't know what to tell you about balance. Balance is not there. Every time you think that you get to a balance point, balancing life and work and all that, this balance is this point that you feel like as soon as you feel like you conquered it, it's gone. So I think that the imbalance actually is part of life. And you always think about, what are my priorities today, the week, the month? And that's where you actually balance. So look, to be a mother, to be a, to have a career, it's very difficult. It's not easy, but you need to take it day by day, and you need to, what do you dial up and what do you dial down today? If I'm dialing up, spending time with one of my kids, or tonight I'm going to work on my presentation. So there is this thing, but you always negotiate with yourself and prioritize on a basis, and then you become good at that. And one more thing I want to say about that, you need to be compassionate to yourself, right? If you make mistakes, if you not in balance today, or yesterday, you need to be compassionate and accept it. And that's what helps you actually move on to the balance point.
Absolutely. And I think that compassion is such a good note to end on, because that's what we all need to be doing right now, being compassionate and taking every fallback, every crisis as an experience or a new door and a new experience. So we actually don't have time for questions. That was so exciting and so fantastic, Maital. But you will be answering some questions in the Women in Marketing group on LinkedIn on Friday. So I will put that in and send around these recordings to all of the attendees and those who weren't able to attend today. We really appreciate you joining us. This is Women in Marketing with Maital Rasmussen. I'm Jasmine Kees, and we will catch you next time.